Alrighty, let's go. Welcome back into the Scooshy Sport Podcast and the continuation of your 2026 NRL Season Previews. And today we're going to be previewing the North Queensland Cowboys. One of the more frustrating teams to sort of watch and get a sort of a chokehold, and even if you're a fan of support this year, just super inconsistent. You'd see games where they were, absolute powerhouses. They would beat a top team. They would go down to Sydney and beat the Panthers or someone like the Roosters or something. Then they'd go up, up to the home track and absolutely lay an egg against, a team like the Titans or that sort of thing. We know what we can sort of expect on a good day from the Cowboys. They're one of the best attacking teams in the competition. But my Lord, when they're not on, they are absolutely one of the bottom four teams. Absolute shocking defense as well. But if you are new to this channel, remember to give us a massive like and a subscribe as well to the channel. Follow all my socials at Scoosy Sports. If you have a look at the previous season previews, we have done 4 so far. We're up to our 5th season preview of the season. Our previous 4, we've done Raiders, we have done Manly, we've done the Wars, and we have done the Dolphins as well. So if you're just finishing this one, remember to go check out the other 4 as well. We have obviously still got 11 more or 12 more to come after this one here. The Doggies season preview will be coming out at the same day as well, so remember to go check that one out as well. But without further ado, let's get stuck into the North Queensland Cowboys for 2026. As I said, coming off a very sort of frustrating year, sort of consistency-wise. We know what the potential of this Cowboys team has. They've got such a talented team on paper. When you look at the likes of Scott Drinkwater, Tom Dearden now, was a Wally Lewis medalist, one of the best, star of the Origin this year, now has the 7 Queensland jersey as well. You got, obviously, Reece Robson that's left, but you got guys like Jeremiah Nanai. Obviously, unfortunately, you've got Healy Luke. He's not, he's just coming back from injury. You got guys like Ruben Cotter there. You got Jason Tamalolo. Really, really talented team, I think, for the Cowboys. You've got Murray Taulagi as well. How could you forget? When this team is on, as I said, this team has the ability to put up 30 and 40 points against, it feels like, whoever they want. As I said, when they're not on, they can concede 30 to 40 to whoever they want as well. So, looking at their stats from last year, they finished 12th on the ladder. So, they won 9 games, lost 14 games, and drew 1. I believe that was against the Panthers, was it? Scoring-wise, they finished 9th for the season on 538. Defense-wise, finishing on 684 points conceded for the season. That was 16th overall. They had the second worst defense all season. Behind the Titans, I believe it was. It just wasn't good enough. I said, shocking. We know Drinkwater at the back has a few issues defensively, but you can't be blaming 684 points all based on him. There were some very shocking performances defensively by the Cowboys this season. That is nearly 25 points a game that they're conceding. Just not good enough for NRL standard. Very hard to win NRL games from there. That overall is a difference of minus 146 points there. We know the coach is Todd Payton there, who personally for me, I think is on a bit of a chopping block. He's been a bit under pressure last sort of this year, especially made finals in 2024. And his contract actually finishes up at the end of this year. So the Cowboys have a very big call if they do want to keep extending Payton and they believe he's the right guy for the Cowboys, or if they want to go elsewhere and look at someone else. For me, I think that second option is definitely up for debate. It's just, can you see the Cowboys team actually succeeding in potential of winning a premiership under Todd Payton? I'm just not quite sure. But if you haven't watched my season preview for the ladder prediction I brought out a few weeks ago, which is very contentious, by the way, I had the Cowboys finishing 12th for next year. So same position as where they finished this year. Honestly, hard as fuck team to get a gauge on where they are next year. They could be easily finished below that. If they're good enough, they could honestly surprise us and maybe even finish in the top 8. I just can't even get a read on where this Cowboys team is kind of at. They haven't really made too many changes, I guess, in the off-season that I think will have a massive impact. So I will go through your 2026 gains and losses for the Cowboys as well, and then go through the best 1 to 17, and even look at the rest of the squad, going also through the draw that they have as well for the season. All right, if we have a look at the 2026 games, there's honestly only a couple standout names on this list. The first one and the main one is their marquee signing for next year is Reed Marnie. So they needed a somewhat decent dummy half to come in at hooker position there. Reece Robson is leaving the Cowboys this year. He's already in Bondi Beach at the Sydney Roosters. So they did need a very solid playmaker in the hooker position. Reed Marnie on the way out with the Bulldogs. I think this fits quite well in with the Cowboys. I actually do quite like this signing. I think they do need a little bit of grit up there, just someone to get more in their faces. We know they've got guys like Jason Tamalolo and that sort of thing, Jeremiah Nano, but can you really see, like, you drink water as he did, and it's really getting in and playing that sort of that bad guy? I don't really think so. I think you just let Drinkwater and did and just let the ball, let the skills do all the talking. Then you let Marnie do his little bit of playmaking here and there, make the tackles, a little bit of kicking game here and there, but get in the dogfight if you need someone to get in the dogfight. So I actually do not mind this signing for the Cowboys as a replacement. We both know, that Reed Marnie is not the level that Reece Robson is. Reece Robson is literally the starting hooker for the New South Wales Origin Blues. So not discounting Robson at all. This is definitely a little bit of a downgrade for the Cowboys, but there's definitely worse downgrades out there for the Cowboys. Your other signing, you've got Matt Lodge coming up there. How this guy continues to get contracts in the NRL is just bizarre to me. I'm a Warriors fan. The contract that he had at the Warriors was just an absolute kick in the dick. I have no idea if we're even still paying him some of that contract. It's just it's just an absolute kick in the nuts. He went to Manly, was it this year, maybe the year before? He was okay off the bench. Is he going to have a big impact for the Cowboys this year? No, not really. He's going to be that guy, plays 20 minutes, 30 minutes if he's lucky off the bench. He's not even in my starting 17 for the Cowboys there, so probably says a lot about Matt Lodge. Looking at their 2026 losses, as I said, they do have a few there. Definitely more losses than gains for next year. I'll start with the first one. Tom Duffy. So, we did see Tom Duffy start the season for the Cowboys at the halfback jersey there. But probably maybe at the start of this year, we thought maybe Tom Duffy is the number 7 for the Cowboys. That is like the long-term 7, starting on, 18, 19, who can take him quite a distance. That was not the case. Didn't really perform at the level we probably thought early on, but now he's got his opportunity down at the Broncos. It looks like he will be the replacement for Reynolds long term. They sort of see something in him, and they believe in him and believe in the systems to get him the guidance that he needs to become a star 7 to replace Reynolds. Now they're going a different route at 7 for the Cowboys. I've hearing rumors that Jackson Purdue is training at 7 quite a lot there in the offseason. Obviously, I've got Jake Clifford there as well. You'll see who I've got at 7 there later in the episode there, but another loss there, the key one, as I said, Reece Robson. So Reece Robson down there at the Roosters. I think that's a great signing for the Roosters, in all honesty. I'm not sure what the sort of reasons why Cowboys want to let go of him, whether it's a money thing. But for me, this guy is the starting hooker for the New South Wales Origin Blues. Why are they not trying to keep a guy like Reece Robson in the team? It boggles my mind. I get it. You've got to give your money to Drinky. You've got to give your money to Dearden. They're still paying at the back end of Taumalolo. You got like guys like Taulungi. You've got guys like Cotter, there as well. But Reece Robson, man, he's a starting Origin hooker. How he isn't still there just really boggles my mind. I think he'll absolutely tear it up at the Roosters this year. Another one that's really interesting for me is Semi Valame. I get it. Semi Valame didn't get a whole lot of games this year, but this guy is so bloody talented that, I just think if you gave him maybe potentially a full season to start, we remember how those last games at the end of 2024, he absolutely ripped it apart. And for some reason, I'm not sure what happened in the back end, he just didn't seem to be good enough to make the starting squad for the Cowboys there. Cowboys had an injury in the wing, a guy like Robert Darby would step in, or Braden Burns. And I love Braden Burns, but Robert Darby, maybe over Semi Valame, it's just, maybe up for debate. I think Sammy's got so much talent. He's now off to the Castlewood Tigers in the Super League, which I find super interesting. I think he'll absolutely rip it apart there in the Super League, in all honesty. All right, that is pretty much it, as I said, for 2026 gains and losses. You got guys like Jordan McLean, who's retired. Carl Lawton was down at Manly. He's down after Super League, and a couple other sort of Q Cup guys are heading off. Let's look at their best 1-17, and we've got a couple changes, as we know, with the Cowboys, but most of their team does sort of stay the same. We know at fullback, Scott Drinkwater, without a doubt, is usually in the talks of Origin contention every single year, it seems. His attack must be one of the best attacking fullbacks that's going around in the comp. Easily top 5, if not top 3 for me. We know defensively Scott Drinkwater has his problems though. And for me with Scott Drinkwater, his high is so bloody high. His low is so bloody low. His ceiling is high, floor is so low. If he can become more consistent for the Cowboys attack and defensively as well, a guy that can make those try-saving tackles, a guy that can diffuse kicks. It just seems like at times he just goes a bit missing, when the team is in their red zone, and just like the grubber kicks you and a team will score a try and you're like, where did he go? Like, where was he? Like, he doesn't seem to ball track as well as I probably think he should for a fullback there. Going with the wings, this is one of the positions up for debate. I've got, obviously, Murray Taulagi still there on the left wing. On the right wing, I've still got Robert Darby there. Young kid, he had some absolute shocking games this year. I think one game he had, 4 or 5 errors in the game. We know the talent that he can have for a side, though, for this Cowboys team. However, I love Braden Burns, though. I think Braden Burns is such a journeyman in the NRL. He had awesome games when he got his opportunity for the Cowboys this year. And I would not be shocked to see Cowboys start Braden Burns in round 1 next year. I absolutely love Braden Burns. That is sort of a 50-50 position for me. But I think if you look at the long-term picture, I think Robert Darby may be the guy for them. All right, looking at the centers. This is a tiny bit of a shake-up. We obviously are used to Zach Labour and Jackson Purdue in the centers. Jackson on the left and Labour on the right there. I've gone with Labour on the right. I've gone with Viliami Vailea on the left center there. So you're probably thinking, where the hell is Jackson Purdue gone? He's still featuring in this team, just in a different position there. Really like Viliami Vailea. Didn't get too many opportunities for the Cowboys this year. Obviously, it was quite a big signing for them coming from the Warriors at the start of 2025. I think he needs to get given more opportunity, in all honesty, for this Cowboys team and should show the ability he's got and why they signed him. In the halves, without doubt. So in the halves, we've got a first half. Number 6, I'm going Tom Dearden. What more can you say about this guy? He's an absolute weapon. He's setting records all over the place in time trial runs in the Cowboys offseason at the moment, and it would be hot as fuck there at the moment as well. Queensland number 7 replaced Daly Cherry Evans this year in the 7RL. Wally Lewis-Mellis absolutely tore it up. Could not have done really that more for Queensland this year. Such a vital part for this Cowboys team as well. I believe he is captain as well. Doesn't surprise me. Tom Dearden needs to be the guy that is just getting the ball all the time, kicking game, everything, all of the above. In your 7 position, here's the shake-up. I'm going with the rumors. I really like where this is going. Jackson Purdue. We saw the breakout of Jackson Purdue this year. He absolutely ripped apart pretty much from round 1. We saw how talented he was, how speedy he was. As soon as he got the ball, his ability to break tackles, his ability to offload, his passing game was elite. We've heard before that he's played a little bit of 6 before, that sort of thing. And now we're hearing in the offseason about 80% of his training is actually at halfback at number 7. Which I am really starting to like. Get this kid the ball in his hands and he'll make magic happen. When you've got such a talented player like Jackson Purdue, who has the ability to pass, offload, break tackles, got speed as well, I think transition him into the halves. If you think he's got the ability to transition him to the halves, get the guy who's got the most talent in that squad, with Dearden as well, the ball in his hands. It's very similar to your Nico Hines situation when he was a fullback for the Storm. Very similar to when Jerome Hughes, when he was a fullback, transitioning into halfbacks. It just works. It's the same with Munster as well. If you think they can transition well into the halves, where they're more in the line, get the guy, the more talented guy, the ball in their hands, and they'll make magic happen. We know how talented and how good their attack can be, the Cowboys. I think this just adds one little level to it as well. Jackson Purdue is a little bit of a smaller sort of like thinner guy. Maybe defensively, I'm not quite sure that he's not quite as strong as someone like a Vilea, in my opinion. Another sort of reason why I've gone with that there. Your forwards are, without doubt, Jason Taumalolo gets the starting role there, and Griffin Neem as well. Pretty self-explanatory for these guys. JT just keeps the motor running. I'm not sure how long exactly he has left on his contract. I know he's obviously still on that $1 million there. And then Griffin Neem, journeyman, been everywhere, still gets the starting role there. Number 9, without a doubt, we spoke about him before. Reed Marnie will slot straight into that starting hooker role there for the Cowboys. See how much of an impact he does have for the Cowboys. I think he can definitely align really well with like Purdue, Dearden, and Drinkwater. This, for Marnie, it's not about creating any plays for him, which like he doesn't have to do anything special. Literally just give good ball to Dearden, Purdue, and Drinkwater, and they will do all the talking. His job is to push the piano so these guys can do all the music playing. And that's what it's all about. Marnie, just do his tackles. He kicks the odd 40-20 air, gets in his face. He's good for the old crash ball here and there as well. Marnie doesn't have to be the dynamic 9 that Reece Robson is, get out of attack, at a dummy half. He just has to get good ball to these 3 guys and the attack will happen. Going into your edge rowers. So obviously the main one on the sort of the right side, or left side even, is Jarrett Meyer Nanai. Look, he got dropped at the start of this year, which is, I can understand why defensively, and he was just so poor. And on attack, he just didn't look interested. Played some games in Q Cup, came back super bloody strong. He is an absolute try-scoring weapon, without a doubt, the starting left edge for me. And on the right edge, I think he's recovered well. He obviously did his ACL in the off-season at the start of this year, so it has pretty much going to be over a year since that injury has happened. I think you got to get a guy like Helium Lukey straight back into that starting role for round 1 there. If he's not round 1, he fits in that best 17 for me. We know how talented Helium Lukey can be when he's healthy, fit, and firing. Why not? He's still young. He will recover well from this ACL. I think you get more positives out of starting a guy like Helium Lukey than bringing him off the bench. And I think starting Helium Lukey against over a guy like John Bateman just brings a whole lot more options to the squad as well. John Bateman, look, he's been there, done that. We know what he can provide. Can Helium Lukey provide more on a good day? 150% in my opinion. And at your lock roll, no surprise there. We're going with the Origin sort of, he played anywhere in Origin really. Ruben Cotter, an absolute workhorse, an absolute psycho there in the lock roll. Pretty much sort of plays that forward roll as well for the Cowboys. Just gets his face in the mud, gets dog dirty. Absolutely love Ruben Cotter. Make his tackles. He'll take some good hit-ups. He'll take some tough runs. We know what Ruben Cotter can provide to this team. He's not a try-scoring weapon at all, but he's just an absolute weapon. He can go for 80 minutes if he needs to as well. All right, going to the interchange. And honestly, I think this interchange is it's pretty hard to decide because I think they've got a little bit of quite a deeper squad. Guys who definitely have potential of making that bench for me there. I think that starting 13 is pretty solid for me in my opinion. It's just this interchange is quite sort of tough to pick, I think, in my opinion here. So in the 14 role, I go on Kai O'Donnell, a guy who can sort of play that number 9, step in if Reed Marnie needs a little bit of a break. We do know Reed Marnie can actually play 80 minutes though, but if Reed does ever need a break, I think Kai O'Donnell can step in there for a little bit if needed. We've got John Bateman in the 15 jersey. I have Helium Lukey, as I said, starting over John Bateman. Look, I think John Bateman, he's okay. He's probably getting to the back end of his career there. I can honestly see John Bateman not even making that bench, maybe in the later rounds there. But I think for round 1, I think he will be there. Cohen Hess in the 16 jersey, very solid front rower. He comes on, does his work, nitty gritty, no fuss about it. And I've got Sam McIntyre there as well. Another guy similar to Cohen Hess, get his face in the mud, get the job done off the bench there. Can he have a starting role for the Cowboys? Potentially over Griffin Neem, potentially. I've just got him there in my 17 jersey there. Now, what I wanted to talk about is these other guys in the squad that I definitely think can have a bench spot for the Cowboys in 2026 and definitely in the future. You got guys like Thomas McKaylee. If you're not aware of the name Thomas McKaylee, he came up at the start of 2024. A guy who was absolutely braining it in preseason, brained it in the trials, and didn't quite have as much of an impact in NRL off the bench as we thought and didn't quite get the opportunities. He had some of those opportunities this year. I thought he absolutely killed it, in my opinion. Would not shock me to see Thomas McKaylee on the bench for round 1 there in the Cowboys. You got guys like Caden Lars, the son of, Andrew Leroy Lars as well, which is pretty cool. You got 2 backline players. You got Jackson Paulo and Tom Chester. These 2 guys, if there is an injury, can slot into this backline as well on the wing or in the centers as well. And then obviously you got guys like Braden Burns who fits there as well. Honestly, love Braden Burns. Would not shock me to see him starting on a wing role for the Cowboys instead of Robert Darby. Maybe Robert Darby plays some Q Cup to start the season. Maybe they just want Braden Burns someone a bit more consistent to start the year. I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure how preseason is sort of going. You got Jake Clifford there. So Jake Clifford was in a starting 7 role for the Cowboys in a lot of games this year. After Tom Duffy was dropped. Look, it's hard, right? If you're not going to have Purdue at 7, you put Purdue back in the centers. You drop someone like Vilea doesn't make the team. You bring in Jake Clifford into that 7 role. You can't have Jake Clifford coming off the bench, in my opinion. You either start him at 7 or you don't have him there at all. That's the way it goes for Jake Clifford there. Unfortunately, it's just how NRL works. You either make the starting team for someone like him or you just don't play him whatsoever. I can't see him having too much impact as a bench player. And then you got guys like Harrison Edwards. And then Harrison Edwards is super talented as well. Would not shock me to see him replace maybe a guy like Cohen Hess off the bench. Maybe a guy like John Bateman. Would not shock me in that sort of range. And then a guy like Matt Lodge as well. Matt Lodge, we know what he can be capable of. A handy sort of bench player. He doesn't even make my 17, to be honest. And I think if there's an injury to a front rower, I think they get a guy like Harrison Edwards in first or like Thomas McKaylee in before him. I think he's probably like a last string option for the Cowboys there, in my opinion. All right, looking at the Cowboys draw for 2026, and they do have, honestly, they have one of probably the easier, I guess, like mid-range draw difficulties in the comp for 2026. We know they have to do a little bit of travel being obviously up the top side of Queensland there. So the team they play twice in the NRL next year is the Roosters, Dolphins, Broncos, Raiders, Tigers, Titans, Sea Eagles, and Eels. So they are playing 2 of the top 4 teams, and then you've got Raiders from that one there as well. So they do actually play a lot of bottom 8 teams twice, which is quite handy for them. Sign just fell over. If you're watching a video, that's pretty cool. So they are playing 11 games against the top 8, 6 games against the top 4. They are playing. They're not playing the Storm twice. I'm not sure why that is there. And they are playing 13 games against the bottom 8, which is quite handy for them. They have a pretty good run through the Origin period. They do get 2 buys during that Origin period, and they also get a game against Souths in that Origin period too. Their last 7 of their last 8 games are also in Queensland as well. So if they can be after that Origin period if they're around the mid-range, even to the 11th or 10th, they've got a good chance of coming home super, super bloody strong, right? They do have obviously a tough travel. We know they start the season in Vegas, playing, the Bulldogs in Vegas? So is it Bulldogs or is it Knights? Sorry, excuse me. So interesting to see how their round 1 team does look in Vegas. And they only have 2 home games in their first 6 weeks. So obviously go to Vegas, fly back, and then they have 2 home games in the next 5 after that. So a little bit of definitely a tricky start for the North Queensland Cowboys to start. But you just don't know what you're going to get from the Cowboys. That's why I have them 12th. Honestly, the 12th was just like throw a dart at a dartboard and see where it lands. I can't really see this team making the top 8, but I can't see them shitting the bed either. But can I see top 8 and surviving the year? Like, maybe. I'm not really sure where this Cowboys team is actually heading. I think they're maybe in a slight rebuild at the moment. I think they missed their chance for a premiership a few years ago against the Storm in that grand final. It's just, I'm not really sure where this Cowboys team is at. I think they're just sort of like just hanging around there. They're not sure whether to sort of rebuild yet, but they're not sure if they're worthy of a premiership like team. They've got the players there to actually be a top 8 team and be a finals team. It's just whether they can combine it all together, kind of like similar to this year, and can consistently do it. So often this year, as I said, they just laid an egg at times where you just thought they'd destroy a team by 20 plus. Home game, good weather, and then it just come out flat as Drinkwater it just looked like Drinkwater and Dearden hadn't seen each other for like a month, just been on holidays. Now they're coming back, and the first time they see each other is playing a game of footy. And you're like, what the hell's going on here? Just makes no sense. But now you've got the Queensland number 7 in your halves. You've got an up and coming, like, I think Jack Purgey was in the Queensland squad. He's going to be playing at 7. You've got Drinkwater there. You've got Reid Marnie there. There's absolutely no excuses for a Cowboys team like this, in my opinion. It's just where the top 8 can combine it all together and get this team flying. But that is your Cowboys season preview for 2026. The North Queensland Cowboys, me finishing 12th in my ladder prediction for 2026. Coming off a finishing of 12th, as said, this year. So we went through their gains and losses for 2026, looking at their best 1 to 17 and their squad depth as well, and then having a look at their draw as well. But thank you so much for watching, guys. Remember to check out the 4 other previews. Remember to check out the Doggies preview that is also coming out the same time as this one as well. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great Christmas as well, and cheers.